there's other, this is a sort of aside, but there's methods of farming using organic fertilisers that are extremely powerful, like ormus and terra preta and things like that. It's a big subject, I can't go into that now. But basically, the idea that this, it makes a joke out of this, the green line on Heinberg's graph, a complete joke out of it. There's easily enough resources for everybody, easily enough. If you only treat the world as our friend instead of our enemy, when we treat the planet Earth, she'll provide for us all. And I mean, this also comes into something which is a real political hot potato, and that is mass immigration. Now, there's a lot of nonsense talked about mass immigration, but you know, it does have its problems. It does cause problems, and I think that's undeniable. I mean, I live with three blokes, and they're from the Sudan. They're really nice guys, and they came to this country a couple of years ago. They didn't come in because they're part of a secret conspiracy to put Sharia law into Parliament, or any of that nonsense. They're not here to throw bottles at people on the streets of Burnley. Sure. They're here because they want a better life. They can earn more money here. They can. That's what they're here for. Now, we hear an awful lot of talk about rounding them up, sending them back, stopping them coming in, without realising, that in order to do that, we have to have a database, we have to have tight controls, we have to have surveillance, all these other things, and that's a big subject, but I think they're playing in that card at the moment. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that the country they come from, Sudan, it's a dust bowl, and people are very poor there. They don't have enough to eat, they don't have any industry, they don't have enough money, or food, or water. But just 10, I mean, I did a little back of the envelope kind of calculation on this. It's not exact, but I reckon just 10 of Stanley Mayer's water cells installed in that country would transform it from a dust bowl into a land flowing with milk and honey. That country could feed all of Africa, let alone itself. And my three housemates, well, they're not going to stay here for the weather, are they? You know, they won't come here for the weather. So, in a sense, if you see lots of foreigners coming into the country a problem, then that's the solution. And there's no database state required, no civil war, all the other things that seem to be on the horizon at the moment. So let's have a look at I'm going to rub off Heinberg's graph now. I'm going to do one of my own. Taking into account everything I've just said. So that's time, that's amount. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set Heinberg's sustainability line much higher, all right? Because of course the Earth is finite and it's not infinite, so it does have a limited carrying capacity in terms of population and resources. There's no doubt about that. But it's just a lot higher than what Heinberg says it is. He puts it down at about maybe, you think it's 3 billion or 2 billion people, and we've got 7 billion. It's probably more like 100 billion or something like that, if you take into account what I just talked about. Now, population could be up here. Say there's 200 billion people in the world, all right? That's the population of the world under the system, as if this free energy had been available for a long time. Energy, no, I'll do resources first. Resources, again, can be matched to sustain that. Okay? Right? And energy, where do I draw the line for energy? I can't. It's infinite. It's as much as you like. It's cornucopia. And that's my graph to match Heinberg's. So why don't we have it? Why is it that we don't have a Mayer cell running that light? Why don't we have Tesla coils powering our cars, our power stations? Why don't we have Schauberger coils driving our ships at sea? In a word, it is control. It is about the control of the masses by the elite. Now, on one level, it is about money. All right? There are people involved in the cover-up who don't want to imprison anyone. They're just out for number one and to make as much money as possible. Now, you know, this is where the skeptics trip up, because skeptics will say things like, well, you know, if this really existed, if these systems really existed. And just think how much money someone could make selling the energy. They'd be heroes. They'd win the Nobel Prize and they'd make a fortune off it. What? Sell free energy. You can't sell free energy. This is the point. You can't sell that. It's like putting an anemometer on a sailing ship connected to a meter and charging the skipper for the wind he uses. You can't charge free energy. No. And so what are you going to do? Are you really going to go up to the chairman of Royal Dutch Shell and say, sorry, your services are no longer required? It's okay, mate. You can make candles. You need oil to make candles. Just think of it, Shell candles. Won't they be nice? Pretty colours, and you can make them smelling really nice, and there's a nice one, so don't stain the wallpaper. Come on. No, I don't think so. Do you? I mean, there are people. There are sort of like political strategists who also, I think, may be involved in the cover-up because they're scared of how the declassification of free energy would change the world order. As I said before, it would do away with the difference between third world and the West. Everyone would be on the same level. In that case, you have countries like China and India with enormous amounts of population and huge amounts of resources. They dominate the world. That's what these people are scared of. Now, again, you see, they're not trying to act to control anyone. They're just afraid of the revolution in society that would take place. But at a high level, I think it's more subtle. It's about the more subtle control of ourselves. Free energy, like I said, it's called free energy because it doesn't cost anything, or costs extremely little. But it's also free because it will set us free. This technology would mean, as I explained before, most of the problems in the world will be solved. And then, if that's the case, what's there for us to be scared of? Maybe we might think we don't need these overpaid bureaucrats in Westminster and the White House. See, they need us dependent on them. Just going to check the time. I've got another half hour or so plenty of time. I might be able to take your questions again. I'm nearly through. The New World Order will be impossible under that sort of situation. I can't see any way, and I know some people disagree, I can't see any way in which the New World Order will be possible in a society with free energy.
Isn't that what they're going to offer us as part of the promise?
I will see, but can I take questions at the end?
Yeah.
Cheers. Oh, that's a good one though, yeah. This system they have now with fossil fuels we pay for, makes us dependent on them. Whoever controls the supply of energy controls us. Alright? Now before you think of, I don't know how many of you checked, wondering whether I've forgotten, but where do UFOs fit into this? Because as I said, this talk's entitled Energy Politics and UFOs. Right, well UFOs, right? Strange lights in the sky, strange craft, strange objects. Extraterrestrial creatures. What are they? The balloons? Are they kites? Marsh gas? Levitating truckloads of manure burning? Driven by parachute test dummies, no doubt? Of course, some of them might be those things, but are they all those things? No, they're not. And I don't think anyone can successfully claim that they are. Some of these objects you see in the sky are artifacts of an extraterrestrial civilization. And when I say extraterrestrial, I don't necessarily mean from another planet, just that they ain't from around here. There's a lot of theories about what they might be. I mean, Richard Dolan and Bryce Zabel state in their book, so I review in the Critical Mass Orator, they say they have a list of things they might be. Extraterrestrials is just one thing. They may be interdimensional creatures, they might be angels or demons, ghosts, time travellers, ultra-terrestrials, or something that's on this world that we don't know about yet. There's a whole list of things they might be. We don't know for sure what they are. But I think the government do, and the government do because these crafts occasionally come to grief on the Earth's surface. And the most famous example is the Roswell incident of 1947. But there are many others. I mean, the term Roswell really it's rather like the Loch Ness Monster. We all know about the Loch Ness Monster. What we don't know is there's hundreds of Loch Ness Monsters around the world in various lakes around the world, including another one in Scotland, in Lochmarine. But there's Nessies in Canada, United States, Japan, Russia, all over the world in lakes, big lakes. You often find legends of monsters. And the same with Roswells. Roswell was not the only Roswell. There was one the year, excuse me, there was one a few years before in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. There was also one right back in 1898 in Texas called the Aurora incident. And amazingly of all, there's been several reports from this country, including a possible one in 1940 in Gateshead. This is right in the middle of the city. If you can cover it up there, you can cover it up anywhere. Now, these beings, whatever they are, these craft, whether they're crossing the universe or they're crossing interdimensional portals, they're not doing it on Texaco unleaded 4-star. They are using one of these systems. I don't know which one, it's one of them. Or maybe a combination. Dolan and Zabel in their list leave the option open. It may be all of the above or none of the above. Now, the evidence for this comes from several different sources. Firstly, it's the behaviour of reported UFOs. They have capabilities that no conventional vehicle we know of has. They have the ability to travel very fast, and they have the ability to manoeuvre very, very well indeed, far better than anything we could ever build could. They can basically fly at enormous speeds that can outrun any aircraft we have, and they can stop instantly. On a dime, they just go stop on a dime like that, and move off in a completely different direction. This makes them impossible to intercept. But it leads to the possibility that these craft are using anti-gravity. We can use anti-gravity. An anti-gravity system could do that. There's also evidence from people who are using free energy technology on Earth. There's reports from people using cloudbusters, which is a device invented by Wilhelm Reich. It uses one of these implosion technologies, orgone energy. People using cloudbusters, now I don't know if this is true or not, this is just what they've told me. People use cloudbusters to see UFOs flock to them, like bees to a honey pot. And that's the word they use. They see, people using them often see UFOs. There's some connection between UFOs and orgone energy. And there's also the disclosure witnesses. The disclosure movement has brought together people, hundreds of people, from military, aviation, and government backgrounds to say that they know that UFOs are real, and they've been told to keep quiet, and they're not going to keep quiet anymore. Some of these people are more convincing than others. All right? Not all of them are to be believed, but I think a large proportion of them are. And what the aim of the disclosure movement is to put very well by Stephen Bassett, one of the speakers on this subject. He says all we want is the frank admission from governments that there is a real presence for the extraterrestrials in our society. That's all we want. We want the president to come out on TV, and he said, this will be a Friday evening when the stock markets are shut. He'll come on TV and he'll sit down, and the same thing will be happening in this country around the world. And he'll say, emergency broadcast, the president wants to address the nation. And he'll basically sit there and say, there is an extraterrestrial intelligence engaging with our planet. You may have seen them as UFOs. We said they weren't real, but they are, we know it. We've known about it for almost a century. We have all the press kits here ready for you. It's all been declassified by executive order. And basically, we're going to have to deal with this now. That's what the disclosure movement wants. Well, that's what they see this happening. Now, I've got a lot of respect for these guys, but I mean, we've got to get back to the real world here. How likely is it that this could possibly happen within the political structures that exist today?
But even if they did, we wouldn't believe them, because they lie so much.
That's a good point, but they'd sit there and they'd say that. You won't ever get a serial killer coming on TV and confessing and saying, I'm a serial killer, I killed all these people. What they're effectively doing is they'd be admitting to be a serial killer of 2 billion people and a killer of this planet. And what they're going to say, we've known, I mean, we'd have to, people sitting there, Mr. and Mrs. You and me, sitting in front of their TV, watching this speech, will be sitting there listing all of world history for the last 100 years. Because it's not, see, if they come clean about UFOs, they're going to have to come clean about Tesla and things like that. Because people are going to ask about that. And they're going to say, how different would it have been to what we have now? And it'd be different beyond belief. It means like all the things that I've talked about today, the environmental destruction, the poverty, the wars for oil, etc., etc. It's all been for nothing. It was all preventable. What are they going to say? Sorry, we forgot to tell you. You don't mind, do you? I'll make it up to you. I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, see, governments keep secrets, all right. There's little secrets and there's big secrets. Little secrets like the MP's expenses scandal, that's a little secret. There are bigger secrets like Hillsborough. You know, there's secrets like, you know, like the biggest secrets are things to do with maybe nuclear arms and espionage, things like that. All right, and those are seen as these are top secret, all right. But there are bigger secrets than that. There are secrets beyond secrets. Like 9/11, the fact they did 9/11. The fact that, as Kevin Allen has discovered, that these institutions at the highest level have been abusing and killing children. And a number of these secrets beyond secrets are what I just talked about today. A secret that big will cause a collapse of civilization if it was released. Now, I'm not saying, when I say those words, those are very emotive words, and they're meant to be, right? Because they've been created, there's a lot of propaganda surrounding those words, collapse of civilization. Because it immediately puts into your head images of like Mad Max, or something like that, doesn't it? Immediately, you're talking about collapse of breakdown of law and order, internecine violence, destruction, things like that. You know, grandmother getting killed for pennies, things like, that's the images it has in our head. But is that real? Is that really going to happen? Is that really what would happen? Or is the collapse of civilization a good thing? Is it an opportunity for us to build something better? Maybe the civilization we have now can't be fixed as it is. Maybe it needs to be knocked down and rebuilt. It's something to think about, isn't it? I'm not 100% certain about that. You know, the one thing I know is the government very, very much want us to believe we need them. We need them to protect us from enemies outside and internal enemies. Whether it's terrorists or foreign power or ourselves. They say we're there to protect you from each other, from criminals. Because without us, you'd all be free to commit crime against each other, which we all would, wouldn't we? I mean, it's only the threat of the police that's stopping us from killing each other now. That's their attitude. Right? So, I think we're doing all right, yeah. So I'd say that this is how these two things tie together, because the government have salvaged these craft when they come to grief on the Earth's surface. The government have worked out how they operate, and it all ties in. They've worked out probably by now. It's something, if they use something connected with the free energy inventions, the humans down here on Earth are also created. But for political reasons, we don't get them because of the political landscape of our world. We don't get to see them. Maybe these extraterrestrials don't have that problem on their worlds. They don't have a new world order. There is no Illuminati on their worlds, perhaps. Lucky them. But let's emulate them. But like I said, what I mean to say is that if you have a free energy invention, it's worth realising it. And if you are involved in UFOs, if you have had contact with UFOs, or you witnessed a UFO and you know about them, then you have the same friends as the free energy inventors, and you have the same enemies. And that means that free energy, people who work within free energy, invent and study it, need to get together with those in UFOs. That's basically what I'm saying. And it's important, I think, if you have an invention, this is where a lot of guys go wrong, because I've said before, the system, these people who invent these things are not usually trained scientists. They are amateur inventors, so they don't always know what to do with their invention when they've got it. They don't know how to test it or to develop it and to publicise it. Now, a lot of them do the sort of common thing, which is they go out and they get patented and they try to get development rights off somebody. That's a mistake, all right? Because the moment you patent it, there's a big red flag on there. And you'll get a visit from somebody. Someone will knock on your door. They will say, "Dear Mr. Townsend Brown, dear Mr. Mayor, we're here from this particular corporation run by," it's usually a rich philanthropist of some kind. I mean, there are several, I can't recall the names of various people who've been involved in this, but he's very interested by your invention. In fact, we would like you to sign the patent over to him, or to sign development rights, which in the small print say basically it's the same thing as signing over the patent. Now, a lot of these guys, a lot of these tinkerers, to use the derogatory term, patronising term, people like John Hutchison, people like, Brewster Palmer, they're amateurs who work part-time. They're often short of money. They may have financial problems. They've probably got problems with their family too, because they spend so much time married to this machine in their garden shed. The wife's probably gone off them, because he's in the garden shed all the time, working that damn machine, They often have problems like that, both financial and social problems. And it's very tempting, because very often these people who knock on the door will offer you a lot of money for this deal. The thing is, once that deal's signed, very often the machine will just vanish. It'll be sucked into the corporation that takes the deal, will shelve it somewhere and you'll never see it again. Those few inventors that are wily enough, they don't necessarily sign over these deals. Often the pressure increases, very often, sometimes the bribes increase, but then also there's a lot of negative pressure too. They may dig up something in your past you're not very proud of, a crime you committed, or the time you might have committed in indiscretion with somebody else you haven't told your wife, stuff like that. And they say, "Look, you don't want this to go public, do you? Come on, you know it makes sense." And at the most extreme example, Eugene Maloff. He was sitting in a restaurant one day. He was a guy who works with free energy. He had his own, I think, free energy invention, and he worked to try and bring free energy inventors together. He was poisoned, and his last words when he ran out of the restaurant where he was eating was, "They poisoned me. They killed me." So it's important, I think, this is how the suppression of free energy has endured for 150 years and more. Basically, these systems. Now, I want to be positive about this. You could get together with other people, and you can work. I think if there's enough of you, and you know what you're doing, you'll be okay. Look after each other, watch each other's backs, and you'll be okay. And that applies just as much to the UFO community as well. The UFO community needs to embrace these people and look after them. It's really, really good to see on the ex-politics group, there's a lot of free energy issues on that board, on Facebook, because I think the members of the ex-politics group understand this. There's other organisations like the UFO, the British UFO Research Association. They won't touch this. They're not interested. For them, it is just lights in the sky, and they want to study them and work out what they are. We know what we know what they're not. We don't know what they are. We know they are extraterrestrial, and we want to do something about it. So don't bother with before. Go with people in the ex-politics community. Now, Brian Desborough, the American researcher, wrote a brilliant book called Blueprint for a Better World, which is like a series of articles which cover all kinds of different subjects, including this one we're talking about today, which put together, from all these different angles, create a model that we can use so we can have a better world, one like this. I think what I talked about today is not enough. You're going to hear speeches today, as with Brian's book. There are other articles in Brian's book. At this event today, you're going to hear speeches from other people. And I think it's only maybe when you've heard them all, you may realise how all these things fit together, and how they're all valid and they're all necessary. So, as I said, it's good to see you all at this event. You're going to learn a lot today about a lot of subjects. Think about what I've said. Think about what the others say as well. And by the end of the day, we'll probably come out of here knowing exactly how we can put the world right, repair this damage we've done, and transform. Basically, I think we have to transform ourselves and start thinking like free people So we don't provide fertile ground for these demonic elitists to grow. It's kind of like a parable of the sower thing, you know. In a sense, we can't play victim. We've given them fertile ground to grow. We have to become the stony ground, the thorns for them. That's what I'm basically saying. So, thank you very much. Any questions?
Any idea what the propulsion systems of these UFOs are?
No. There's stories. There are stories from people like Bob Lazar has provided very detailed kind of description of what he says he works on in the
I'm sure you mentioned the Emlyn-Jones.
Yeah, I mean, that guy, I keep sort of like, every time I'm about to think he's not true, something else happens and I think, no, I can't make my mind up about it. Right? If he's right, then we have a very detailed description about how the power plants and propulsion systems of these objects. but all we know, all we can go on is by analysing their behaviour. What we know is by analysing their behaviour and their capabilities is they are using some kind of anti-gravity, zero-point energy propulsion. It's the only thing that fits. Anyone else? Yeah. Alex.
Just supposing with the disclosure movement, etc., the influence of people like Rockefeller raises a flag for me.
Yeah.
Supposing UFOs and the alien connection was complete bollocks, and there's no such things as aliens or extraterrestrials that we know of anyway, and it's just a cover for these free energy craft that they're testing. Supposing it's all bollocks.
Well, there's several people who've written books about that. I mean, there's a guy called Mark Pilkington who's written a book called Mirage Men, where he basically says the whole UFO thing is it's a charade for it's a fabrication by the people who are covering up secret aviation technology. It doesn't quite fit. I mean, it's possible that has happened in some cases. For instance, the saucer-shaped craft built by the Nazis. I mean, if someone accidentally saw one of those, you could say, if you could persuade them it was extraterrestrial, you may get yourself off the hook on a small scale. However, on the scale that this is a popular idea, what you're saying nowadays, the scale that it would need to be engineered on just doesn't make sense. It would be counterproductive. A good example is Bob Lazar has often been accused of being one of these people. Right? The thing about it is no one ever... I mean, it's the sort of thing that it could backfire in any number of ways. And in the case of Lazar, I mean, if what you're saying is true and there is no such thing as UFOs, then it's so counterproductive, it's unbelievable. I mean, no one had heard of Area 51 before Bob Lazar. Now everyone's crowding there, and including people who don't believe in UFOs and want to look at secret aviation projects. It's a very, very risky manoeuvre to draw your attention towards something for the sake of repelling that attention away.
But they like to put things in plain sight, don't they? That's how they roll.
It doesn't quite fit. I don't think. I mean, you can explain some of the phenomena, but the entire UFO phenomenon goes back so far. It goes. I mean, there's Renaissance paintings of UFOs. There's cave paintings that show them. It does seem to be a real thing. There is an interaction between our world and other worlds. You know, so it's a big subject now.
It is.
It's worth thinking about. Yeah.
I was just going to say, what if it isn't bollocks and it is true, but the aliens are our enslavers?
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, there are reports from people like David Icke and from others. David Icke wasn't the first person to say this, that some people, including people in positions of power, are sometimes regarded, some people, especially psychically sensitive people, see them as not human on the on a sort of energy body. It's not human. I mean, sometimes they see them as reptilian figures. It can't be denied that there's so many reports of this. Whether there's any connection between that and UFOs, I don't know. I know that a lot of people have had interaction with extraterrestrials that has been very loving, very joyous. It's made them better people. These creatures are very, very benevolent. I mean, extraterrestrials seem to be quite like any other species, like ourselves. They seem to have different personalities. some species are very benevolent, some are just neutrally studying us. There's a very small minority, I'm glad to say, that seems to be unfriendly and unpleasant and hostile.
I'm sorry. Hang on a minute. All these things sound brilliant, they sound utopian. Wouldn't it be wonderful, what a wonderful world we would live in with free energy and blah, blah, blah. Would not my greatest enemy offer me such things?
Yeah. Especially
Yes.
Isn't that part of the deal? Hey, we'll give you free energy, just take the chip. Just take the chip,
Yeah.
and we'll give you free energy, just take the chip.
Wasn't that part of when it was first interaction between the American government and aliens, that they exchanged technology in turn for humankind to
Because they're demons.
Well, it's I'll have to
Maybe.
think- Well, I'll,
20% believe myself.
you've raised a good point. I'll have to think about that. I don't.
Because I think that's where I think that's where we're going with this, and I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to offer us all these wonderful things that make us go, oh, isn't this wonderful? They've even got the technology to extend life and blah blah blah. They're looking at uploading ourselves to computers and all this sort of thing, immortal life on Earth and blah blah blah. And they claim that this place is heaven on Earth, and we're going to make it heaven on Earth by offering you all this free energy and blah blah blah. Here's all your promises on a plate. Just take the chip.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you right now, but you've raised a very good point, and I do need to sort of consider this.
Sorry, that's just
Just going to say also that I've always said that if they ever come forward and say you've got free energy, then it's the end of the New World Order. But after what you said, it could be something
The
else.
beginning of the new one.
Yeah.